Myself, a brat, who vaguely gazed on the knee-high 1940s and the waist-high 1950s and couldn't figure numbers worth a damn, was always a chancer, and given 3 lines to add, I'd finague and put down the middle row as the answer. But I would read all day if I could get away with it, and all night too, with flashlight under covers of that green man, my namesake, or of Merlin of the Borders. And in seeking out the stories of Britain's ancient lineage, I delved on days subtracted from the blackboard's paltry tyrannies among dog-eared authorities back-shelved in libraries, wherein it is recounted with clerkish severity, fish-spearing wizened louts without modesty, displaying a crude cunning that might pass for perspicacity, beehived and coracled among our western isles, while Noah was still flattening his thumbs and bending nails. These people we so glibly call the Picts, maligned with daubs of woad in patronizing words. But they were clean as clams, witty and thick as thieves, gossiping maskers worthy of serious love, sticklers for detail, with leaves of breeding, brewing, or brave enough in a pinch, charting and outstaring the vagaries of heaven, kept watch upon the Pleiades, fathoming forgotten simplicities. It is written, bland as boiled cabbage, such savages were heaving out their oyster shells all up and down the miles of Britain, since first the ice receded to the northern wastes, scouring our hills as round as breasts, until the time of Noah's brother, Partalon. But let us sing of the skill of the master builders long ago, for it was no peasantry, clubbing after scrawny cows, who raised the hollow hills and the henge stones, but calm and cunning wizards work these wonders, ruling, scribing, pegging out in granite the windings of the dragon track that rides unhewn in sward and marsh and moss and meadowland, that twines in stellar gravity among the eaves of the cubic sky. And poetry attests their artistry thus and otherwise, older yet and wiser far, and I will not forget. It is recounted, with an absence of drollery, next came copper workers with wheels and carpentry from the land of the Greeks, drunken by starlight, north through the Daneland. For so bore Nuada of the silver hand, master of the elements, into Alba, into Erin, honoring the unvisionable Dagda, and one anon of the letters and the clean skin, and shining lug of the waves of the world, the garden, and carrying always within, as is fitting, the shadow-lit, whispering, mare-faced, cat-faced, owl-faced, ageless huntress and thrice queen, who, musing in the blood, whistles and whirls her hounds and ravens beyond all sacrifice craven, and rhyming, nailed in a blackthorn tree, lest horned eyes be blinded by the tomb of lightlessness in the charm of the Halcyon dark. Of this, our great and Christian clerics in alarm avert their pens. Womenless men, crooked in the cloister of their age. But poetry declares it differently. Older yet and lovelier far this mystery, and I will not forget. The next wave brought the flaxen sons of Mill, as is writ by stuffy hermits with a bone to pick. blundering up the Danube and down the Rhine, the warrior forefathers of the Gael, who shipped and sailed deep waters at Windbeck, prowling west across to Spain, around France and through the Channel, plundering the coastlands as they came, till they too brought their reign into the glens. But let us chime in the heather bloom of their two-handed harpers, spiraling from red and silver wires, tones of the faces that speak from Jurassic rock, with eyes like leaves, a winding music, keening and exultant through the green drum of the hills, to lay a burden and a turn that catch still at the heart and descant yet, to the echo of that oldest tune of all that stirs the bold, and I will not forget. And lastly, it is told, and quaveringly by generals doddering in the second infancy, that in the days of Darius, before Christ's birth 600 years, Labyrinth the exile came slaughtering and pillaging as if to prove Darwin right, with his dark-browed Gauls and their leaf-shaped spears. I hate the scribblers who only write of war and leave the glory of the past unsung between the lines. But sadly, and truly on the sinister left hand, the tale of Britain since the flood is of crowing and croaking war, that gouged heart high, of fame soaked away, that maimed all vision, spilt jewels both red and white, killed memory and might, turned amethyst to adamant. Before ever Caesar's lawful butchers came, or riddling Saxons setting flame to thatch, or rune-wise Vikings hurling blood-wet axes, or courtly Normans cutting off of hands. But long before we ever took the names of English, Scottish, Welsh, or Irish, and long before the Tower of Babel fell and language cracked, there was interchange and colloquy and conversation among this world, and standing stones remain to bear its testimony from China to the Americas, from India to Ireland. Merlin of the borders turned in his river grave, where I first read, and reading, saw the paper dissolve away. And I say now, years later, and well mindful of the risk of mockery, that nothingness I am was then first set to wandering among the windings of the wave, of the world, the garden. For the breath of the ages in the face of the air still boasts the vitality of our most early and unwritten forebears, whose wizardry still makes a lie of history, who somehow reared and loosed an impossible beauty, enduring yet among the green islands of the North Sea. And I will not